Choose fighting with security at the high road, ruining your night. Choose antagonising disabled queue jumpers at theme park. Choose gimping around in the gym. Choose keeping it high. Choose punishment bummings. Choose battering 13-year-olds and their dads for chucking golf balls at you. Choose working security at Tea in the Park and robbing the punters. Choose asking a Welsh dwarf for a line. Choose triggering Instagram mums. Choose booting yappy dogs in the ribs. Choose taking an edible and doing the gay Gordons. Choose Leather Podcast.
So that's us. Leathered. On the go.
We back.
Right. He's back. Are we going to do UFC 313, Craig's that right, Mason?
For what has possibly been the most hated on, I don't know what that was, hated on main event I've ever seen.
Aye? Do people not like
why.
it?
People are unhappy.
Is it because...
Did you see the MMA Guru's tweet?
Pereira, is it because he's such a likeable guy and people
so.
want to people didn't want to see him lose?
That's what I think. It's like when Max Holloway loses, everyone's sad, eh?
Mm-hmm.
However, unpopular opinion I'm going to go with, I thought Ankalaev done his job perfectly.
I agree. Did you like his cage control? He pressured him, pinned him up against the cage, held him there. Pereira couldn't move, right? Don't get me wrong, Ankalaev couldn't get him down.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same breath, Pereira couldn't deal with his control against the cage.
I'm going to say it for another point of view. Do you think Ankalaev was actually trying to take him down? Because he was going single leg, body lock, and then to the cage. I think he could, see on that single leg, I think he could have got him down. The body lock is easier to defend than the single leg.
You think so?
I do.
I don't know.
Out in the open like that.
Body lock's like...
Oh, but Pereira made the body lock defense look easy. Just did the pull the elbows up and whatever.
Yep.
It was like mega. I hate to use this. It just seemed so basic. It was like the very first defense he used, and he didn't really look.
Do the easy hangs well, and
also true.
So you can be
true.
So you can become a champ.
I thought
Ankalaev, I thought looked very good.
I thought his striking was good.
I thought as soon as Pereira started blamming in the leg kicks, I was like, oh, this is going to go horribly wrong for the Russian.
At the end of round one, I honestly thought, there's nothing to see here. Like,
and
this is...
He just started running away with it.
Aye.
He just started picking his shots, and I think he was landing some really crisp shots.
Mm-hmm. Rocked him badly, if you might even say knocked him down, would be fair, I think. I know it was sort of a down back up quite quick, but...
What are the fans saying about this fight?
No happy.
No happy at all?
I think majority of people do think it is the correct decision though, but either just no happy that Pereira lost.
Aye.
Is it because they don't want Ankalaev as a champ, or is it because they just really like Pereira? Is that the reason?
I think it's a combination of both of those things.
Aye.
And Ankalaev's like...
It was inevitable. I said this last week when we were picking, I was like, Ankalaev... I don't remember what I said. What did I say was the finish? Did I say...
You said Ankalaev would knock him out.
Did I?
But you did say that Ankalaev would get it done on the feet, so I think we all do need to give you some credit for that, because I think you're maybe one of the only people that did see that coming.
How did we do against the fans?
Not good.
Not good.
I think we ranked like 21st out of 38.
It's better than being 38.
I think...
Who's currently in number one spot?
Number one is, his name is Toby.
Toby? That's
all I've got. Toby, then a load of numbers, so he knows who he is, I guess.
Well, and Toby. I thought it was a good fight. I know people are
not happy with it. Smart fight. Intelligent.
Aye. We said this as we were coming in here having a quick chat before the podcast started. They can't all be Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree. And then, did you see Khalil Roundtree's?
He looked gutted, man.
Did you see him? No, but did you see him like during the fight?
Like holding his head in his hands.
He was holding his head in his hand. Didn't you want to watch the fight? Maybe it's PTSD. I don't know. Like he's like, I can't watch it.
Chama. You saw him fucking pulling the ball back at the walkout and he's getting done. I think it's clear that Alex Pereira, everyone loves him. Magomed, not so popular, less fan friendly. We don't know much about him outside of the usual train religion. It's the same kind of narrative with these guys. I've watched a few clips of him. We need a drama and stuff, and I thought, like this side of I keep saying it, these guys need to get off this Khabib script and just be themselves, and everybody and people would like them. He fought a smart fight, mate. What is the point in going out there and trying to have a slugging match with Alex Pereira and getting your face looking like Khalil Roundtree did the last fight? Like, was brave as fuck by Khalil, but mate, his face was smashed. It's not smart.
Can you fire up light heavyweight division? Because surely Ankalaev has pretty much cleaned out the top 10
Well, now
in
we've
light
got,
heavy. Because he's beat Prohaska. He did beat Prohaska, didn't he?
No, they've not
fought.
Ankalaev
He's not
hasn't fought Prohaska, no.
He drew with Blachowicz. He beat Jamal Hill.
No,
He's not fought Jamal Hill.
Ankalaev's not fought Hill.
Why did I think that?
No.
So who's all matched up to now?
So Ankalaev has not beat MD in the top 10.
He's beat Blachowicz.
Yep.
And
Or
Johnny
no,
Walker.
he's drew with Blachowicz,
He drew
apologies.
and he got a
Beat
non-contest with Walker and then a victory over Walker.
And he's beat Rakic as well.
He beat Rakic.
And he's beat Ozdemir.
In a decision, and he beat Ozdemir. Has he no fought Krylov? No.
Ozdemir isn't in the top 10, but
Ozdemir's 9.
is he?
Yeah.
No, I don't think he's fought Krylov.
By the year he fights there, Jamal's obviously fighting Khalil. Alberg is fighting
Blachowicz.
Blachowicz. So if Alberg gets past him, he's in there.
So, but we've got Yuri with no dance partner.
No. He did call out Pereira though. He says he wants one last dance with Pereira, which is absurd, but the guy's
That is a
mental.
fair, like, Krylov, 30 wins. Ankalaev has beat him.
Ankalaev beat him just before you did.
Aye.
I've beat some names, man.
Aye, beating Ankalaev. It's not for everybody.
Nah.
Nah.
It's actually only for one very specific guy.
Aye.
That's
What you've got to do is you've got to let him think he's winning. You've got to
get
bluff
him with
him.
the switcheroo.
You ever played poker? You've got to allow them to believe that they're winning, and just when they thought I was out, I pull them back in.
I mean, you couldn't have left it much later.
I know. That victory is it's getting sweeter every single time this guy fights because he looks
he's
better
well.
every single time, and I don't think he's a changed fighter from when I fought him. I think he's pretty much the same guy. I don't think you've looked at him and went, fucking hell, he's getting massively better.
Aye.
Because there's fighters when you look at them and you're like, he's get massively better within 6 months to a year.
I don't think he's doing anything different.
No,
Maybe strikes more now.
it was good. I liked he does a step up into southpaw, from southpaw into orthodox, steps
kick.
forward and then flings a hook, bump.
Oh, aye, that was good as well.
Nice.
I thought his kicking was good. Everything he threw. I don't think he did anything badly. I just think when he got in on those singles, I was like, oh, he's going to finish this here. And then everybody's like, I went 0-13 for takedowns. That's hard to believe. Do you not think?
But even at that, it doesn't matter how many takedowns he failed, he still got the victory.
Aye, but that's what I mean. Like, out of 13, I think, was he actually trying to complete these takedowns, or was it
More
a
about
stalling
control.
tactic, get him at the fence, tire him out? Mate, Pereira looked tired, mate. And then he looked like he wasn't sure. He wasn't sure if he was going to get shot on. He wasn't sure if he was going to have punches coming towards him,
That's
kicks
it.
coming towards him.
You need to open
he's
yourself
sowing-
up. If you're going to land big,
Aye.
heavy shots, you need to open up yourself.
He sowed
which
the
allows
seeds
takedowns.
of doubt, which I think he did well.
And we're getting an automatic rematch.
I
Is that
think
the
so.
talk?
It looks like it's
Fight
pointing in that
International Fight
direction.
Week?
I don't think that's an International Fight Week fight anymore.
No.
No.
Would you think?
Oh,
Would
why
maybe
do you
put
say
this-
that? No big enough.
I think there's
fight?
not enough interest in it now for International Fight Week, and there's 2 other fights that are International Fight Week worthy that are in the airs now.
It's an
Are we
Abu
talking
Dhabi
about
fight.
Aspinall and
Aspinall Jones and Islam Topuria,
Jones
if that's where we're going.
does that get you a bit excited, that? Topuria and Islam?
Aye.
I don't think it's Topuria Islam, eh? Is that like, is there something official about that?
There's nothing
Maybe that's
official,
the
but
I think it's going to be Topuria Charles. That's what I think.
well, speaking of the lightweight division, what did you think of the co-main?
I thought it was a fun fight. I thought Fiziev would have looked better and got the victory. That's what I'd said was going to happen. But Justin Gaethje was just, see, when he was in swinging leather.
He's two
Like-
takedowns at the start, right at the start, and I was like, smart,
Aye.
right, Fiziev. This is smart.
Chaos. The guy's chaos. So see, when he was in, he looked great. I thought he looked great everywhere. Movement, and then when they were coming together and Fiziev was maybe looking like he was going to do a bit of damage, Gaethje just pulled out of the bag and was swinging hell for leather.
My issue with Fiziev was he had, as you said, Ross, he had so much success. And it wasn't even just in the first round, it was like the first 90 seconds. He got those 2 takedowns. And then he had that sort of weird inverted triangle position. Why is he not going back to that? Because he lost the second and third round. And he only won the first one. So if you know that you're having that success in the first round, why is he not went back to that?
Capitalise on that.
It depends how I think the fight was close to being stopped in the second. See, when he got knocked down, I think there's referees who would have went, this fight's over, boom, I'm stopping it now. Because he did look like right back, proper fucking hit the canvas hard. I think it was good refereeing to let the fight continue. But I do believe there's referees who might have stopped that fight there. I think he was possibly, see, just by the third round, he was like, this has got
He did look like he was fading over time.
It's got away from me.
Which you can't hold against him considering it's just engaged on 10 days.
10 days.
Aye.
That's...
And he knows he's been 10-8'd in round 2.
And he's been out for, 2 years?
Aye.
Hurt his foot as well during the fight. You don't know how much did you see the...
Looked like just like a blister had ripped or something like that, just the skin.
Was a bit
They were obviously, the commentators were talking and they were saying that Fiziev wasn't looking to push the pace because they didn't think he had the engine and he was looking so much crisper with his shots and all that. I just kind of see, I thought that performance with Gaethje was beautiful. You turn up and fight like that every night and I think he wins.
Aye. It just, unfortunate. See, when you... Justin Gaethje doesn't seem to like it when you fight a measured fight against him. He wants you to stand right there and I'm going to hook and you're going to uppercut, and because that's what got Fiziev dropped, was just, they're both in, but again, Fiziev clinching up in those knees to the body, mate. Fuck. There was some nasty, nasty shots being exchanged, and when they were in these tight, close engagements, it was ruthless for them both. That was a proper could have went either way fight. It was very good.
Did the fans like this one?
That was a good one.
People's
main event.
People were down with that.
But I think Fiziev, although he doesn't get the decision, he doesn't lose any stock.
I'm sure I wrote that down in the notes as well. He did give a very good account of himself. And I don't think he'll be fighting down in the rankings his next fight. I've sort of pinpointed maybe the Gamrot rematch. Because that's the fight where he injured his knee and that's what put him out, so we didn't even get a conclusive end into that fight. So
see the whole time you were watching it, were you kind of missing Hooker? Because that would have, if Gaethje was fighting that way and Hooker was fighting his fight,
and we could have a 5-rounder.
It was.
Aye.
We could have had the first death in the UFC.
Fucking hell.
We could have seen somebody getting stretchered out.
I think,
and never be the same again.
The issue now that I think we're going to have is I don't see Gaethje having any interest in the Hooker fight now.
Do you not think so?
I think...
Do you think he's going to try and push?
I think he mentioned Islam, and if he's done the UFC a favour by taking this Fiziev fight, so why would he then be like, accept fighting down in the rankings one more time?
I guess it's a BMF belt. That you put that up, it changes the dynamics.
But he must know that he's a bit older. It's a smaller weight class where it's obviously more of an issue. He's probably not got that many more fights left. And a fight with fucking Dan Hooker when you're 36 years old isn't the easiest path to the title, when there is a world where he could just sit out now and say, no, I want Islam next. I've not fought him, Islam's fought everyone else.
I know, you know what?
It's my turn.
It would be a good fight to watch. But I do think
Islam run him over.
Aye. That's how
it's just as much Islam I don't think is getting, and I've been a bit of an Islam hater, but mate, he's brilliant. He's brilliant, mate. He outstrikes everybody, he outgrapples everybody, and he finishes the fights. Cool. And there's Fiziev took him down, so Islam's gone, and then what do you do? Khabib got him with a fucking triangle, was it? No. And I think Islam's better than Khabib, so it's hard to.
What was their rounds like in the gym when they were training together?
Who, Khabib and
Islam.
Justin?
Islam.
Khabib and Islam.
What was the?
I don't know.
Who was
Khabib
winning?
was always saying that Islam was going to be the big. He's like, he's better than me. But is that a humility thing? Because he's quite a humble guy.
I can also just see it being true. Watching Islam fight, it's hard to deny that Islam is definitely the much more well-rounded MMA fighter. Khabib, you could probably say he's a better wrestler and better grappler, but in terms of MMA, Islam's better.
Finishing fights, mate. Finishes fights through a variety of ways. That was always the issue with Khabib. I think that's a big jump for Justin. It's a big jump for anyone.
Still in the lightweight division as well. And Turner, did he retire?
He retired.
This is quite sad, eh?
He's 29 years old.
Why?
Sad.
I guess that's what lost the last 4 of his last 5 now. Maybe he just doesn't think he's
But this guy
the guy.
if he almost walk off KO and Moicano, mate. It's mental.
Do you think he will be retired? He'll stay retired?
I do. After the video I seen him after.
He said that he's been sort of thinking about this and considering it since losing to Moicano at 300. So that's just about a year now that he's been thinking about it.
He never signed the contract. He wasn't going to do it. He didn't know why he signed
That's
it.
the time when you kind of walk away.
He was upset, mate. He was greeting.
Am I right in saying that your man, what's his name?
Bahamondes.
Contender Series route as well. Came that way. He's got a good record.
Guy's 6'4", mate.
Fighting at lightweight.
Those are triangle legs if ever I saw them.
Well,
Mate.
that's like the first guy Turner's fought at lightweight who's actually the same size as him. Because Turner is also
He's
6'4".
normally the big guy. Isn't
So like when you seen them in the cage, you could have thought that's 2 middleweights fighting.
They were big. But Turner did a video after, full on. He was crying. He's like, I've had some issues. And he did say mental health issues, eh? And it's
a horrible sport, this.
It's no
Combat sports isn't it for everybody?
And I think this mental health thing is a thing we're going to start in the next few years with MMA. Start seeing it worse. You're not supposed to get hit in the head. Not hundreds of times a year.
There is so much pressure on an MMA fighter,
Yep.
and especially an MMA fighter who fights for the UFC. You're always worried about your next fight because you're worried about the chances of getting cut.
Right.
You're always worrying about, because there's no financial, not a lot of fighters make a huge financial gain with being a fighter. I reckon all the guys in that main card wouldn't have made.
Oh well, we could
big
probably
bucks.
bring it up.
Like what we're talking.
No, not disclosed. It's states. It's not disclosed in Vegas. California does.
Even if we were taking a wild stab in the dark, 50 grand, some of the guys were getting paid to go out there and get blammoed, paying tax, paying coaches, paying everything else. So, right, maybe not the main event in the co-main, but everybody else underneath that will not be on mega bucks.
Well, the 2 ladies are not going to be.
No. And did you see Joe Rogan? I seen it was Adesanya. I'd seen.
Is this as Lucindo was like getting Vaseline and shit?
Called him a wee boy.
She was like, this young man is talented. Did you also see, that's probably wasn't a bad thing if he's watched the fight, because the fight, it was a terrible fight. But they called it like 10 seconds early.
Oh, is that right?
They just wanted to.
The bell, I guess, just went 10 seconds early, and Joe Rogan was like, what's going on? And John Anik went, I think the commission's seen enough.
Do you remember the ACB guy came into the octagon? It was like a Russian promotion, and the guy comes into the cage.
The owner.
He's like, terrible fight. None of the 2s are getting paid.
Oh, I do remember that.
Was it one of the fights? I never watched it, so I can't possibly.
I watched it.
No, you did not miss anything.
It was a hard watch.
It was.
See when I seen the result, I was like,
it was. I think the whole fight there was like 16 significant strikes total. It was literally just 3 rounds of control time.
Female sports, and with it being International Women's Day the other day.
Shout out to the women.
All right. Shout out to the powerful women in my life.
Keep up the good work.
Have you, the listener, ever been involved in a non-fault accident? Have you ever had to contact the insurance company? Have you ever had to deal with them phoning up, them saying this never happened, listen, we're going to go 50-50 on this, you're not getting a courtesy car because it wasn't part of your programme. There's all these things that happens in that the insurance try to do to you, and they try and force you down a certain route. What if you had somebody who could steer in the right direction? What if you had someone who can take all that stress of dealing with these brokers, all this kind of nonsense, and done it all for you? Would you be willing to get 100% of your claim? Potentially. Would you be willing to get a courtesy car, your whole claim? Potentially. Is that something you'd be interested in? Yes? You know where I'm going to send you, and it's G4 Claims. Ross, hit me up with the details.
01698 767 172. You can also get them on WhatsApp if you don't want to talk to anyone, or notatfaultclaim.com. All the links are in the description. Go there.
If you are suffering from a claim that's went wrong, then there's only one place to go, and it's G4 claims. And if you also have been involved in an accident and maybe you're not driving and you're a passenger, as in a cab, a taxi, or on a bus, you can still claim as well. And as I said, hit up that number Ross gave you, hit up in the chat, and you'll be able to speak to somebody and steer you in the right direction. Non-fault accidents, G4 is a place to go. And then we've got King Green versus fucking Ruffy. There was, about 3 shots in that, and one of them was a spinning wheel kick with a cracking setup, fake the hook, and just...
See, when I saw him going to spin, I was like, no, wait, boom.
Did you see him practicing the exact move before he went hit? I love that.
That's why these guys are dangerous, because they're watching the fight, they're watching their opponents meticulously and coming up with an individual game plan rather than being, we're fighting against a grappler. This is what we're going to look for. We're going to look for these moves. They're like, no. We notice every single time you go to throw a hook that the Bobby King was maybe dropping his defensive hand.
So they're saying the hands were low.
But he always fights with his hands down though, doesn't he?
But they must have seen it, because as he comes in with a hook, I think he parries and his hands are way down to try and catch it, and then all of a sudden, skadoosh.
Things about a minute earlier, he hits him with a big straight right and fucking knocks him back to the cage, and you can see Green is like starry-eyed fit, and then they say something to him in Portuguese, and then he just sets that up. Mm-hmm. And I was like,
beautiful.
Fuck, they knew he was going to do that. It was
cracking fight and a wee performance bonus for the guys.
Surely.
Have you got any notes on that, Craig? No.
I've got a video of Carlos Prates in the crowd. Did you see this?
We're mad.
Look at the ring as well.
Are you allowed to smoke in the T-Mobile?
Who's going to tell him no?
Well, aye.
Fair dues.
Good for him.
Aye.
Again though, there's like two groups appearing in the UFC just now. There's the Brazilian fighting nerds guys, and there's these Russian guys. And why does everybody like the fighting nerds?
They're more personal.
They all speak English. They let you see into their day-to-day lives what they're getting up to. They look like a big group of pals who all go together, and we train together, and we go eating together, and they've got individual personalities. They're no reading off the same script. The Smash, McChicken. They are a far better
sellable brand.
Aye, for fans in general.
Aye. Did you watch any of the prelims?
No.
I didn't bother. I was like, there's nobody that... I would have watched the Curtis Blades.
I was at work anyway.
It was cancelled. Why was it cancelled? What happened to your man?
Norovirus, it said they had.
That's
Curtis Blades.
Poisoning it.
But the Joshua Van fight, I said this last week, I'm very high on Joshua Van. I think he's a future champion, definitely. He got the decision. Saruya kind of wanted to make it a wrestling match, and Van was able to fend that off. So it wasn't the sort of
Fast and Furious, eh?
He looks cool. I said this earlier, and that guys with long hair
drives in
just
the
look
Nissan
cool as fuck.
GTR.
Carlos Leal, back knee, first round knockout. He done very well. Francis Marshall, this is going down as one of the worst decisions in UFC history.
Is it?
He won. He very, very clearly won every single round. One of the judges gave him 30-27, the correct scorecard. The other 2 judges gave it 29-28 to this guy.
Well, they look very similar, so I can see how they've maybe made a mistake.
But people are very, very up in arms about this fight.
What's going on there?
But people are not happy with this fight.
Right.
They think Francis Marshall's very hard done by. But other than that, there wasn't anything major on the prelims.
But what can he do about it, eh?
It's a 3:13 breakdown.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Good fights to come after. Light heavyweight, does it open up a bit, or is it closed down now?
No, I think it does open up. Just when we had a look there, I think the fact that Ankalaev hasn't cleared. I thought, in my head, I had thought Ankalaev had cleared the top 10, but he clearly hasn't. So there's some interesting fights. Do I think the belt changes hand within the next year? Probably not. I don't think so.
So I've got thoughts on this, and you might disagree. And I was talking to Grant about this morning. See the Ankalaev that fought Pereira on Saturday? Mm-hmm. I think Yuri beats that Ankalaev because I think Yuri is just so unhinged that he's not going to care about the threat of the takedown, and he's not going to retreat the way Pereira was, and I think he's going to stay in Ankalaev's face.
I think that's going to get him KO'd.
Well, I can see it. I can also see it going the other way.
He's got the power. Ankalaev hits hard,
I don't think people realised how good a striker Ankalaev was until he's put in there with somebody who everyone thought was it's not everyone thinks he is, an elite striker, and he was fine.
I get that, but fucking Yuri's just mental.
But Yuri's going to walk about with his hands doing it at his waist like he's reaching for a gun and get booted in the heat.
You're right.
And he's going to, that like teep to the body was so good, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, he teeped for distance, he was just boring. I mate, what happens when he goes and brings it up to your face? Who, in fact, did he not knock somebody out with a teep to the face?
He definitely wobbled Kutalaba with a head kick. I don't think it was a teep though.
No, he did. Kutalaba in the face. So he can do it. He's done it before. Like
I see on your notes here, you've got Ruffy calls out Dariush.
He calls out Benilai for a 5-round Fight Night main event, which I've got absolutely no issue with.
I've not got an issue with that, but do you think that's a bit? No, I'm saying Dariush is beneath him, but do you think
not a big enough jump?
I want.
Well,
I want to see more of these. I want to see more of these fighting.
Everyone does, eh?
Aye. So let's give him some. Let's give him something beautiful.
Well, we're too early for the rankings update. Rankings updating Tuesday, so we've usually got this information. Aye, he beat King Green, so he probably won't get a ranking. So calling out number 9 Beneil Dariush is still a huge jump, and I don't see why not. Because the fighting nerds, everyone loves him, as you say. They've got a lot of popularity behind them. I don't think the UFC will have an issue with putting him in there that early with someone like Beneil Dariush, who is, if we're being honest, maybe on the downward slope.
The slip.
So that would be a good opportunity to just propel him into the rankings.
I think if Chandler beats Paddy Pimblett, he could fight him.
Fight Paddy Pimblett?
Fight Chandler.
I think he wants a fight booked now. I know that fight's only 3-4 weeks away, but Jean Silva fought last week, 2 weeks ago, and he's already getting another fight booked. So these guys want to be active.
Get these guys out, eh? They are, for sure. Anybody can see.
If you come out with any injuries, like what was that? Like, I think there was 3 strikes.
2 or 3 minutes in, eh? Like I say, you're right. Get him out. Who could we put him in with quite quickly? That's probably how they're looking to do it. The fans love these guys. They want to see them. They're mad at press conferences. Silva's fucking out with a globe at Bryce Mitchell sit there. Again, they're being original, they're being authentic, they're being interesting. People want to see them. And then going in the cage and backing it up, knocking, like that's a spectacular knockout, mate. That's what people want to see.
Highlight reel.
Why is Ankalaev getting grief? Because he's fighting, but I didn't think he was boring. I thought he was intelligent, but people don't want to see 5 rounds being held against the cage. If he'd come out spinning wheel kicked Pereira in the head, he'd be the superstar this week. He's no, Rufi is. That's just how it goes.
It's a sport. What is we've got a fight night this week?
Yep, we are
Apex,
back to the Apex. Aye, for a rematch.
These two fought in London. I was there. I thought it was a very good fight the last time.
Vittori won via decision.
I was heavy pissed.
So Span is now moving up to heavyweight as well.
Is he? Well, Span, I always thought Span was big for that weight.
You were scheduled to fight Span.
I was just before the lockdown. Any other good fights on this card, or is it just they just
getting some boys out?
Interested in, as you say, Ryan Span moving up to heavyweight. He's getting a chance the top 15 straight away.
Do you know what's a good thing?
That guy's good, that Acosta guy.
But you know what's a good thing about that? Know that Ryan Span's record as a light heavyweight was a wee bit all over the place.
I
think he got beat the last time off Smith.
Anthony Smith beat him. Anthony Smith's beat him twice now.
I think I was at that one as well.
Did he not go through some sort of found God type thing?
Aye.
And turned his life around.
Who's that he beat there?
OSP.
Oh, lost to that good scuff. Krylov beat him.
And then you look, he's beaten Dominic Reyes, Ion. And then Anthony Smith, mollywops you twice. Johnny Walker. So, a good thing that he's moving up. I think he's going to get a good run at that, and especially with the way they like the heavyweight looking at the moment. I think it's a good thing for him. I only think
it's a good time to move in.
If he's got the size and he can put on that extra mass and he can hang with these guys because he is powerful. Move up and start fucking these guys up.
Is he at the same gym as Kennedy?
He is at the same gym as Khalil, Alonzo Merrifield and Kennedy in Czech.
Texas or something, eh?
He's at like Fortis MMA.
There's not much on this card.
Well, you know what? You've got the heavyweight, you've got the rookie of Ryan Span moving up to heavyweight, and you've got the Vettori versus 𝗟𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗛𝗏, which is a crack thing.
Yep, I think so.
And
It'd be
we've not
good for
seen
Marvin as well.
seen starving Marvin in a while.
Right, so he's not fought since June of 2023.
Who was that against?
Cannonier, and he lost via decision. Whereas 𝗟𝗟𝗔𝗧𝗛𝗏 has fought 3 times since they first fought, so he's been active, but...
Buckley says he's going to give him a doing if he sees him, eh? Did you see this on Twitter?
𝗟𝗟𝗔𝗧𝗏?
Marvin.
Is he?
Marvin dropped an M-bomb and he's not happy about it.
Did he?
So when he sees him, he's getting it. It's like, all right. But right? I mean, if that's
Yeah, you drop it and
you got to back up.
Buckley's the guy.
Italians, they don't get a pass.
Some Italians maybe do, but not that one, I would say. But I know, not much to talk about for it. This is the problem though, we're too spoiled. We get too used to these monster cards like we just had at the weekend.
Same again. We have got fighting this weekend. Like,
it's better than no fights.
yes. Think about that. Think about that lull. If you ever shit in a card, just think about that lull between Christmas and New Year.
I know.
And moving into like the first fight card at the start of the year. Like, Apex is the place to be. So listen, you're in a car accident, right? G4's the place to go. What happens if you're in an accident in the gym and maybe you bust your knee? What happens if you're in the gym and somebody hits you with a wrist lock and buckles your wrist? What happens if you're in the gym and somebody rolls the way they don't roll and they blow your shoulder out? Don't worry. I know a mob that's got your back, and it's Anaconda. It's Anaconda. And Ross, what are the details for Anaconda?
It's anacondafightwear.co. You can get knee braces, shoulder braces, like Paul said. You can also get kit, rash guard shorts. You'll have seen us with them on in the gym. You'll see me with them on in the gym this week. You also 10% off leathered 10 at the checkout. That gives you 10% off on your Anaconda purchases.
Don't suffer in silence. Anaconda are the people. Listen, I literally just went on and bought my father some bits and bobs for his sore shoulder. If I'm buying it for my old man, it's good enough for you. So check out Anaconda.
And there's also next day delivery in the UK, and it's free delivery if you're a Patreon of this podcast.
Anaconda. Just go and check them out.
We do have some more MMA news that did come out this morning.
Paul Hughes.
Paul Hughes is going to be headlining a PFL show in Belfast in May.
Right.
They've not yet announced an opponent for him.
Did I drop that knowledge a couple of weeks ago, did I?
Well, because the same person told me. So,
Does his name start with a Dylan and end in a Took?
Aye.
I think Gemma Olds is on that card as well. We actually sat down with Gemma Olds for the open mat. And if you want to catch it, it's on our Spotify and YouTube. Cracking interview. We're hoping to see her on that. And I'm right in saying she's got an opponent. She had an opponent because they were doing it in Liverpool. It's the same card, they're just moving it. Maybe a friend who's coming to the live podcast as well, Dylan Took, is on that card.
Might be.
I think that there's maybe another few guys from the higher level circle.
Might be Lorenzo Tay.
Yeah, and probably Mark Ewan.
Aye.
I don't think it's going to be the Usman rematch. I think if it was the Usman rematch, you would announce it and you would start building to this.
Aye.
Because you want as long a run up to that fight as you can because people know how the first one went. It was very, very close. People do want the rematch. So why are you not building it? I think this is maybe just going to be, with all due respect, yes, to whoever the opponent
Do
is.
then build to that?
Yes, exactly.
Makes sense.
I feel like thing we said who it was. But now I can't even remember who he said.
I don't know.
And I've maybe made that up.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who it is. But no, cracking main event. It's going to be a cracking card. PFL.
Belfast will be good for it. That's a good place to have a show as well. Mm-hmm. I'd go over for that.
Where is it? What arena is it?
I'm sure it's called the Royal Albert Hall there.
Is it?
SSE Arena.
The what?
SSE Arena.
Yeah, the Albert Hall, mate.
Nah, have I made that up? Possible.
Maybe.
We also did last week have a big announcement from Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh.
With the boxing.
Their boxing league is.
Best fight the best.
After years and years of Dana talking about Zuffa boxing, it's obviously not going to be Zuffa anymore. The wheels are now in motion with the first event seemingly taking place in September.
The big man, big Al-Sheikh's got the dough and he's got the contacts to back it up, hasn't he? He's fucking slinging that dick about and just.
He's went to the best promoter in the fight game.
Come here, and he'll just. And if he's paying the dough, then he's going to see. We're going to see the best fight the best.
So, do you think it's a partnership, or do you think Turkey's just went?
So what he's said is, I'm completely hands off. They know, talking about Dana White and TKO, who obviously own WWE as well. He's like, they know how to run live events.
That's cool.
They know what they're doing.
Aye.
I'll just finance it, and yous will make me money.
That's wild.
Aye.
What I get, mate? Everybody wants a boss like that, eh? Everybody wants a partner like that.
Here's the question: we've got a guy like Dana White who is the head of the UFC, right? He's got other people who work underneath him. He also runs Slap League, which people are underneath him doing all the actual minion work. Is it coming to the point where he's maybe getting himself too thin and he's got another huge promotion?
I don't think so, because I think the UFC now is at a point where it's almost runs itself, and he doesn't need to be as involved.
I think Dana White's maybe about to take a wee step back.
For the UFC?
Everything and do something else.
Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think the UFC has maybe outgrown him?
I think there has to come a point where it's just a job. Like, do you think he still loves all this as much?
Well, he's been wanting to do
He's an
boxing for
influencer.
years and years and years.
He's wanting into that influencer world.
He's on
where
podcasts
like,
with these Nelk boys. Like, you're seeing him. You see him on social media with all the big social media people. Mate, he's going about with Donald Trump.
The way I look at it is this: that
He's friends with Elon Musk.
he's done with the UFC. He's completed it.
Aye.
But he's wanted to do boxing for years and years. So maybe this is going to like reignite
Reignite
something.
flame.
Exactly. And he's going to go full steam ahead with this. Which, as you say, Paul, the UFC does kind of run itself now. They don't need him to be constantly in these meetings
face,
doing everything he's doing.
But he still does all the
He's there
post
every
fights.
week. And
He
he's
still
there
does
every
all the
weekend.
post fight interviews.
And like you say, he's opening cards. He's still doing everything. Like, he's... you think of the UFC, you're thinking of Dana. He's a superstar of the UFC.
So a problem I've thought of with this, right?
Go on.
So there's two, and it's all going to come down to money, I think. So if you're a boxer, if you're a Canelo Alvarez, you're getting paid millions upon millions upon millions to fight anyone.
Yep.
Why are you then going to come to this, let's call it TKO boxing for now? Why are you going to come to TKO boxing, potentially take a pay cut for what would be harder fights if it is going to be the best against the best?
Because where else are you going to fight?
You'll just fight for your WBA belts and all that.
This shows yourself.
Who's going to watch them?
But it doesn't matter. Why would you care if you're getting paid?
Think about Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather says he's fighting a fucking bag of chips. People turn up and watch it.
But there's only a couple...
Like he's like, I might get a knockout here.
There's only a couple of people who've got that pulling power. They can't fight every weekend.
But it's not the best fighting the best if you're not getting those people.
I think over time it'll be the best fighting the best. I think it was the same with the UFC.
Fedor didn't come to the UFC. He was the best. It'll run exactly like the UFC did.
It'll take time.
10 years
But
from now, all the other ones will be gone.
You will have all these young guys that want to fight on this because they're going to see a way to get money early.
Yeah.
So the second problem that I've maybe thought of with this is, say you're a young 20s fighter, and you're like, will I be an MMA fighter? Will I be a boxer? People now would probably still stick with boxing because they're like, there's more money in that for me if I get to the very, very top of this. Very, very top boxers are paid way more than very, very top MMA fighters. Say this TKO boxing league gets going, it gets started, and they're paying boxers what boxers get paid now. Why would then they go to the UFC? They'll go like, right, this company has an MMA league and a boxing league. Why would I go to the MMA league and make a couple $100,000 when I can go to their boxing league and make millions?
It's called skill. You need to have skill and to be a
Boxing's a
boxer.
hard sport.
You need to be good. You need to be able to box. Not all people who go into combat sports can box. You think about even the top boxers in the UFC would get absolutely done in at the TKO boxing.
We've seen some of the greatest MMA fighters go in and lose to Jake Paul.
But I mean, like, so at the start of your career, and you're like, I want to be a boxer, or I want to be an MMA fighter. At the end of the day,
but then nobody gets into the sport for financial gain.
And I was just
when
thinking,
everybody starts boxing as a kid, they go into the gym. They don't go in there with the anticipation of I'm going to be the best in the world. And I think it's the same for anybody that steps into a MMA gym. You don't go into the sport, or if you do, you won't make it.
well, it's like kids who want to be footballers, they like love football, they love playing football, but there's also the financial incentive of playing football also. You're not really going to get hurt, mate. See people who go, I want to be a super athlete and go and do MMA, you'll end up like a Jalen Turner, just losing your fucking marbles, mate. Because that's what's happened to him. You're getting guy like Justin Gaethje. I watched an interview with him last week and it was fucking sad. And he was talking about like, oh, I'm just kind of, I live in my cell and I have done now for however many years. Like,
He doesn't have a partner.
Doesn't have a woman because he's like, it would be unfair to bring her into this. You're like, as soon as you realise what's actually involved in MMA, you won't want to do it.
So
it's a horrible, mate, it's horrible.
the reason these guys will, it's not a choice. You don't make a choice.
Aye.
It's because they want to.
Pereira does MMA.
The choice
made
was
for
made
you.
for you.
Pereira and Ankalaev, guys like that, pure weirdos, mate, with horrible, traumatic lives. Like, Ankalaev's dad died when he was like 10-year-old or something, and fucking Pereira, mate, was a mad jakey just working at the fucking garage. Like, all these...
This might be a very broad statement to say, but I think you'll find, see, with each discipline, it brings a different type of guy. MMA guys are not... When I think of like Thai boxers and I think of boxers, I think that like Thai boxers especially, they guys are game. They guys are game to get hit. Boxers are not game to get hit.
Aye.
Boxers work on evading getting hit. Thai boxers work on hitting and hitting hard. MMA guys are like kind of like, if you think about being in school, MMA guys here, we kind of guys who aren't great athletes, they aren't hard men, and they find themselves in MMA and they find themselves in there and they work out well because there's different disciplines of jiu-jitsu, which ticks that autism box where you're hitting all these right moves, and the same with wrestling and the same with striking. But I think each sport has a different type of kid in it. Like,
I agree.
I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
I know what you mean.
I think Thai boxers are like Neds. They're game as fuck, right? They're happy to get punched. It's like we guys out in the street, they're more than happy to get punched. Whereas a boxer, I think they're super athletic and they don't want to get hit. They move very well. You see them, they're showboating. Let's say they're like footballers. And then you've got your weird kids that fall into the world of MMA. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but that's how I see it.
I like, boxers are great athletes. You can be a super athlete and then just go, do you know what, maybe I'm going to go with boxing. But then you see so many boxers who just end up like fucking, they can't speak and they can't. So I don't know, it's kind of a bit of a paradox. They seem to end up worse off at the end.
How many, think about going back to school, how many quiet kids in your school did boxing?
There was one in my school, I think.
Was he quiet?
He was all right. Normal guy. Would play football with us and that. He was fine. But nobody did MMA.
Was it the thing?
Aye, it didn't exist.
1996, first one?
Yep.
Aye.
So there wasn't an option. But now there's an option for the losers to go into MMA.
Aye, the MMA guys are weirdos, mate.
So that's boxing league.
And then if you're a real weirdo, you go into World of Jiu-Jitsu.
Aye. That's a spec, like, even I look at the guys and think they're strange, mate.
Craig Jones.
Aye.
Kissing another man on the lips on the UFC broadcast.
I mean, what's up with that?
I'm not saying there's anything up with
It's a couple of gay slurs you've made today. Don't know how I feel about this, Craig.
So the boxing league, you think it's going to revolutionise boxing?
I don't think so. I think it's going to take at least 10 years.
Aye.
But eventually you think it is going to be the new norm?
It'll be the UFC. It'll be the UFC.
Eddie Hearn and that will just have to get on board. They're not going to have the choice.
You think so?
It's not going to be optional. Are you going to run your own one yourself against 𝗟𝗘𝗔𝗏𝗏, who you're already working with?
So do you think
So he just pulls the money for you and be like, enjoy, no money.
I see, mate.
So do you think in 10 years' time, for example, like the WBA belt, the IBF belt, what other ones do you think they're all done? And it's just...
You know what? I don't think they'll be gone. I still think they'll be there because I think their lineage is... I think people still get the belts as local belts, regional belts and national belts. Like where you would go and you'd be like, right, I'm the Bama champion or I'm the Cage Warriors champion. I think it'll fall into that kind of bracket.
Maybe, mate.
Where you look at, I'm a PFL champion or a GFL champion. I think that's where these will fit in.
So, but you think in future, whatever, say as I say, TKO boxing, that's going to be the most prestigious belt eventually?
Yep.
How can it... They've already done it with a sport that didn't exist. Now they're going to take a sport that does exist, that everybody's starting to fall in love with again, because finally we're getting good fights. Finally you're getting to see guys like Daniel Dubois. Guy's a moron, mate. Like one of the... You can't put him in front of a camera, but everyone wants to see him fight him. So he's had to pull out of that fight there. It was fucking, what's his name? Joseph Parker and the boy they flew in, 𝗣𝗘𝗏. Everybody wants to see these fights. These guys are going out and they're getting paid proper money for it. Before that fight would have just fell away, card would have collapsed.
But then you think about that well-oiled machine the UFC's got with regards to how well they push like the social media algorithms. You think about it, like how many times have you seen something about the last couple of cards on your feed, right? I know we're MMA guys and that's why we get it, but going for being a sport that nobody ever watched or nobody really knew what it is, to look at it now where you're having cards every single weekend. Would people like to see boxing every weekend?
Probably.
Yes. Aye. And you're going to get it every weekend. Great, you're going to have shitter cards, but you're still going to have these cards every single week.
And you are going to get to see your big name boxers fighting your other ones. I think
that'll be a like 2-6-1. Oh my God, it's going to be fucking such and such versus.
Instead, you got Tyson Fury once a year, maybe twice.
Here's a question: do you see more crossovers?
What do you mean?
Do you see there's like, we've got, I don't know, John Jones versus.
Oh, in a boxing match, you mean?
Dana said he is very, very, very much against that.
Against?
Yes.
Against.
He doesn't want
you think about it. See when
it works once.
See when the big Turk tells you. Let's see.
Do you think? So I don't even think we discussed it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Alexander Usyk, what name he threw out for his retirement fight?
Who did they throw it?
Alex Pereira.
Did he?
Do you think he knew something? Do you think he knew something was in the works? That
probably.
Because you don't. If you're a boxer, why are you calling out an MMA fighter?
See, that'd be cool. Like, see if Dana White could make that happen, and he can make it happen, because if he's the head of the UFC, head of this boxing organisation, and he brings these two in as their very first card, that would be cool.
Aye, and it's doable now. And it's why no? Why no, mate? What's the problem with it? People have got an issue with it. Boxing's put itself in this position. It is going to be forced to evolve, whether it likes it or not. And because it wasn't. Nothing was happening with it. It was just being the same. Dana White says all the time, they're going out of business sale. And it's been doing that for ages, and everybody was sick of it. 𝗟𝗘𝗏𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 Al-Sheikh came in, started making big fights. Everybody loved it. Eddie Hearn got on board. Didn't have a fucking choice. They've not got a choice. They're going to have to do it.
What other MMA news have you got? Because I'm going to have to.
I think that's
skedaddle.
That's us for MMA and combat sports related news.
What you got underneath that? I see you got a picture.
That's a non-MMA thing.
Is that a rat?
Right. Well, I'll just dive into it.
Go on.
Aye, let's go.
Right. So there's scientists in Texas, right? And they want to bring back the woolly mammoth. So they're like genetically engineering, they're like studying all this to do it. And the first step is that they've created a woolly mouse. So they've like genetically engineered, like they've took the gene to make it woolly, put it in a mouse. So all this is to say we're getting Jurassic Park.
I'm in.
No.
Let them rip.
There'll never be a woolly mammoth. Woolly mammoths are extinct. You can never.
Aye, but you can make
a genetic. It still wouldn't be a woolly mammoth, because it would still give birth to. It would still be coming out of an animal that's not a woolly mammoth.
Right, but say 10, 20, however long it takes, I've got no clue. Down the line, there's like a giant hairy elephant with tusks. That's close enough.
Here's the other thing. In nature or in the wild, natural selection works. What happens to an animal that is born different for the herd?
They get killed, or
they get killed and trampled, and they can't breed. So what do you think's going to happen to a genetically modified? Listen, I'm a Jurassic Park fan.
I was going to say, are you shitting on this? I thought you'd be all in.
What if we said that woolly mammoths are still real, bro?
How?
They're still out there in Siberia and just can't find them. I watched The Thing last night with Lewis, mate.
Did he enjoy it?
Film. Aye, he loved it. He was like, that's fucking brilliant. I'm like, everything told you, bro. I'm in. I still think the black guy had the thing at the end. He was the thing. You know what I mean? Know how it's open-ended?
Yep.
You're like, well, is he? What are we going to do now? And the film just ends. So he's still out there nice, I think. Just like the woolly mammoths. With the woolly mammoths, mate.
Aye, so what do you mean we can't find them?
Mate, Siberia's fucking enormous.
No, mate, we've got satellites.
Nah.
Aye, mate, we'd have found them by now.
Nah.
It's not as if it's a mouse.
There's people saying they've seen them.
Who?
Put in Google now, a boy tracked one for days.
Did he find it?
Yes. He found footprints and then tracked it. Man tracks woolly mammoth in Siberia. Boom. Done you.
No, this is going to be fucking...
We're going to do a rubber.
Aye, shite altered conspiracy theory footage, mate.
Why would he lie?
First link, Woolly Mammoth video a hoax.
Aye, you would
Original
say that.
footage proves.
You're just a cynic. How
So,
unfortunate.
yeah, no animal can be brought back. It's just a different genetically modified animal. It's not that animal. So saying, oh, we can have T-Rexes, you will never have a T-Rex.
Yeah, but you can have as close as possible.
I don't think you can have as close as possible. We don't have enough DNA. We don't have enough of the actual DNA sample to make a woolly mammoth, never mind a T-Rex. Well, I tell you why they do this. It's financial. They obviously...
Funding for the lab.
If you think a woolly mammoth, if I'm fucking Sheikh Al-Sheikh, I'm like, imagine I've got this TKO boxing and I bring out a woolly mammoth. Like, so these guys then bring in, then these guys just invest heavily into it because they think, and then it's like, oh, we can't actually do it, but they've already had the funding to do it. I'm sorry to shit in your world.
I was going to say, you're being a bit of a spoil sport here,
Do you know how I know this?
That made
Or do you know
perfect
how
sense to me, though. To be fair, I was like, do you know what? I bet he does think like that. Like, you cunts can bring back a woolly mammoth. Aye, mate. Imagine what the boys will say when they see that. They'll be like, I can't mind blow.
Well, you got a phantom, a gold phantom. I'll have you. A fucking hairy elephant
out the back.
Aye.
Get what I mean?
I let the waves ride on it like you're in fucking Aladdin.
Aladdin.
But aye, that's my non-MMA story. I was hoping that you would be more excited about it, but
I'm excited. But it's just I know they're already real.
and then
I think
we've
it's genetics just to like improve.
Right, this is rage
DNA.
bait, mate. What you've put here, you've
What
tried to kick us off here. Is what you've tried to
Oh,
do.
I know what you're trying to do here. Black Severus Snape.
not tried to do anything.
He's the best guy for the part.
It's topical.
Cool.
Is he the best guy for the part?
I think so.
Based on
Obviously,
Severus
he's been
Snape.
cast for it.
But how is Severus Snape described in the books?
Well, you've got it there.
Mm-hmm.
Thin man.
Sallow skin, a large hook nose, and yellow uneven teeth, and having shoulder length, greasy black hair.
Yeah.
That's not Snape. I have got no problem with him casting a black guy in the Harry Potter universe, but you can't cast him as a character that's already established
Mm-hmm.
and as described in a specific way.
Yes, I do agree.
We had this conversation about James Bond as well.
Mm-hmm. I said Idris Elba could be a 00, but he can't be actual James Bond because James Bond's quite clearly this character. But something could happen to James Bond and then 008 is Idris Elba.
Here's the thing. There's not a lot of black people in Harry Potter, just at the bottom end. There's none. I think there's like one
girl.
No, I think she's like...
There's the Indian twins.
Yeah.
There's Kingsley.
There's Kingsley, and there's the Dean Thomas is his name.
Yep.
But there's like maybe 2 black guys in the whole of the school. Whole of the Hogwarts.
Sounds like my school.
And there's one black guy in like in the Ministry of Mayhem. They're like, we're keeping these guys out. You're only getting in jobs.
I've watched a clip that I know you've got to get away, but they were talking about Lord of the Rings. 0 black characters at all. 0 black extras, anything. And he goes, how did so many people still get stabbed? I thought that was hilarious. I was like, it was 2 black guys on a podcast talking about it. I thought that was fucking tremendous. But
yep, I agree with you, Craig.
There's also just no need to make a fucking Harry Potter TV show. I think all the things within that universe, all the stories you can tell that you can just make up.
But
right? So why are you retelling one?
But the Harry Potter story has not been told in its entirety. There's so much they're missing from the books, and I guess that's why they're making a TV show, because if you can spread this over, if it's a season, a book, then you're going to get so much more happening, and then you can be true to the fans, and then you can have black guys playing Severus Snape.
Well, that's a good way to bring attention to it as well. Like, we don't know how the TV show will be received. Fucking let's just cast a black guy as clearly a white guy, and people will talk about
What
it.
about if you have like Ron Weasley, who's no ginger? The Weasley family are no ginger.
He's super handsome.
He's like
It's like
Mad Shagger.
Brad Pitt or something.
Harry Potter's no get specs and a scar. No, I had plastic surgery. I used to have a scar, but I had plastic surgery.
My kids are mad.
Laser surgery for eyes as well.
And Hermione's walking about with lip filler and a boob job.
And she just wears leggings all the time.
And isn't he a mad feminist?
And she does like videos for
OnlyFans.
Oh, fucking hell, man. That's how it goes. What's Hagrid doing? Is he tracking woolly mammoths?
Try to get one. Try to catch. He'd have one at the back of the fucking pumpkin patch for sure. Anyway.
Any other fun stuff you want to talk about?
Well, I think that's it.
Pretty much it.
Guys,
Guys, sorry.
Any shenanigans?
Oh, sorry. I was, but I don't really have time. Guys, I'm sorry. I have got a little one to pick up from school.
Me too.
We're obviously going to way down to Sheffield for the next 2 days. That's why the podcast is early, or we'd be able to do our our Patreon.
We're going to make up for it.
We do have a slobber knocker coming out.
So much.
And we've still got tickets available for the live show. Live show link will be in the bio. There is still tickets left. It's from 2 till 5. Come and watch us do a live podcast with 𝗟𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗛𝗏 and Oban Elliott. Chris Toll will be presenting. Loads of giveaways, loads of good chat, not filmed, will not be put on the Patreon, will not be anywhere. So if you miss it, you miss it.
It's one of those ones you had to be there.
On that note, keep it high.
Adios.